2 weeks ago I finished and released a soccer game that I made in the last video. Then I took a break. Ever since we moved back to Sweden, where we now have our own little piece of land, my girlfriend and I have a goal to become more self-sufficient in terms of food production. Like for most things, there's so much knowledge involved in growing your own vegetables, but at the same time it's fairly easy to get decent results. I've spent the past 18 years of my life in front of a computer, and I'm coming to terms with the fact that I need to allocate more hours of the day to activities that don't mentally drain me as much as game development does. With that said, it's now time to pull an all-nighter, but I first want to address questions I've been getting lately regarding marketing and advice on releasing games. I'm sorry to say that I don't think I know enough to give you any real useful advice on the subject. All I do personally is to make sure I research and define a few keywords that are popular and relevant to the game that I'm creating. Then I try to include them a couple of times in the store description or directly in the name of the game, like with Soccer is Football. But instead, what I can do is to show you what happens if you just throw away $1,000 on Facebook ads. What I'll do is I'll spend $200 per day from today, Monday, until Friday. I'll target anyone in the US as well as people in a few other big countries around the world who are under 30 and have an interest in soccer and mobile games. Keep in mind though that I'm just using the trailer as an ad video and I'm putting no real thought into the campaign other than what I just told you. Also, I made the game in only 3 weeks and it looks a lot better than it actually is, so I'm pretty sure that many installs will quickly become uninstalls. But anyway, here we go. Meanwhile, I want to finish at least one task on Boomer Simulator. I've received a lot of positive feedback from the early access and most people seem to be enjoying the game despite maybe thinking it's a bit too difficult. I need to make many more levels, but I first want to add all features that might have an impact on how levels are played. The Boomer Juice power-up is a good example of this since it's meant to give you an instant speed boost, so naturally all levels need to be designed with that in mind. So I'll add the actual power-up object to the game and make it float in the air because that's what a lot of old games did. Then I'll make a shorter version of the drinking animation for when you pick up the drink. And finally, I'll write the code to make it all work. Today's my day. Oh, and of course I need to record some new sounds, but I need it to sound authentic. My gym didn't have a lot of choice, but I hope that this will be good enough. I think I still need to add some kind of visual effect to convey the change in speed better, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I won't do anything else this week since I'm still taking things easy, but let's look at how the ad campaign did. So I spent $1,000 in total and got 13,117 link clicks. 500 was spent on Android users and 500 on iOS users. Out of the 13,117 clicks, 8,994 were on Android and 4,123 were on iOS. This isn't surprising since iOS users are more expensive to acquire than Android users are. Anyway, from those 13,117 clicks, 8,395 or 64% converted into installs, 6,221 70% on Android and 2,124 52% on iOS. As you can see from this map, more than half of the users were in Brazil and Argentina, and had I targeted only the US, where the price for user acquisition is higher, I would obviously have received far fewer installs. So, is it worth it? Do you get your money back from these users?
Of course you don't.
Unless you got a solid monetization strategy where the users on average make you more money than what it cost you to acquire them. But now we're heading into in-app purchases territory with premium currencies, cooldown timers, progression gates, and that's where I lose interest. It shouldn't really come as a surprise that throwing money at people to get them to play a bad game is a stupid idea. But game development is such a huge field that for beginner solo game devs who have to wear 5, 10, 15 different hats, it's sometimes easy to miss the obvious. That's why my advice would be to make sure that you've got a good game on your hands before worrying about buying ads. Because once you do, these short little bursts of ad spendings can actually be worth it in the long run, since it will get you users who actually stick around because they enjoy the gameplay. Games built to accommodate for monetization strategies will make you more money, sure, but simply trying your best to make a good game will give you something much more important: People who care about you and what you do. Maybe even enough to forgive you for making a shitty little soccer game.